Still searching for answers while being told everything is fine? Today we're talking inflammation, what it is, how it may be driving your chronic disease, and what you can do about it. My guest is Coach Dr Ann Hester, a double board certified physician in internal and lifestyle medicine, who helps people take control of their health through evidence-based lifestyle care. Lifestyle medicine is going through the roof. People are starting to wake up to the fact that we can't keep going down the path we're going. We can't keep just eating anything we want at any age. There's so many consequences like inflammation building. You describe inflammation as like the body's silent alarm system. How does inflammation begin in the body, and why do so many people have it and they don't even know?
Well, let's go back to what inflammation is. Just imagine you step off of the curb and you twist your ankle, and that area is swollen and warm and painful. All of these cells, all of these things are coming into that area to try to heal it. So that kind of inflammation is good because it is a healing process. Now just imagine that same sort of process on a smaller level throughout your body. This ongoing inflammation with all of these cells coming in, all of these things coming into the tissues. Ultimately, it causes damage. And so acute inflammation is fine. You want to heal, but you consider what it's like to make it widespread all over your body. That on a cellular level, on a tissue level, puts you at risk for diabetes, cancer, all sorts of things. And so there are many things that we do that can impact our inflammation in the body. Something as simple as white flour. I mean, the foods that we eat can be pro-inflammatory or anti-inflammatory. So basically, the closer it is to the earth, the better you are.
Do we take inflammation serious enough? And when people go to the doctors with their aches and pains, all the rest of it, do the doctors tell them this is most probably widespread inflammation? Or are they just given a pill and sent on their way? And then people don't realize that, like I said, they don't even know they've got it, or they just don't take it. So they said, oh yeah, my inflammation's a little bit high, and they're not taking it seriously.
No, but they don't take it seriously because it's not something that people have been taught. So there's a blood test called, there's more than one, but the CRP, the C-reactive protein, it lets you know the degree of inflammation in the body. And we know that when that is high, you have a higher risk of a heart attack. That is the leading cause of death in America and many other places. And so you can actually do lab tests to get an idea of the level of inflammation in your body. But it's very important to understand that our everyday habits cause this inflammation. And just like they cause the inflammation, our everyday habits can calm it down. And so we have a lot of power over what happens in our lives.
We know, like you said in the beginning, you twist your ankle, you fall off the curb, whatever. You know that it's burning, it's swelling, and people say, oh, that's the healing of inflammation. But what are some of the signs or the symptoms, as opposed to the bigger diseases, which I would like to get to, but what are some of the symptoms that someone can feel throughout their body that they're not joining the dots, that is actually high inflammation?
It's more a vague sort of symptom, more so than my finger hurts. Now, technically your finger can hurt if you have, acute arthritis, if you have gout in your toes and other things. Yes. But some people may just feel off, like, I'm just not feeling right. You go to the doctor, your doctor does a routine blood test. Everything is fine, but you're not. Something's just not right. But honestly, a lot of people who have high levels of inflammation have no idea. They don't know until the doctor tells them, because the doctor just happened to get that blood test, which, by the way, is not a routine blood test. So if you're going in for your annual exam, that's not the sort of blood test your doctor is going to likely get. And so most people, they have no idea that the level of inflammation is high, an increased risk of heart attacks. And unfortunately, the first sign of heart disease for a lot of people is a cardiac arrest, where they die. A lot of people don't make it to the hospital. They don't have any symptoms up until the time. Then they have a fatal cardiac arrest. And that's when the family learns that they have heart disease. And so we need to be proactive. We need to be of the mindset that I need to protect myself. I need to protect my family. I need to think about where I want to be in a few years. You can choose path A, do all the things you want to do, likely live a shorter life, all that money that you put aside, you're probably going to be spending it on medical bills, but it won't be on trips around the world. Or you can start thinking long term. There's a huge difference between the life expectancy and the quality of life. We talk about the lifespan. How long do you live? You can live 20 years in a nursing home. The health span is how long you live in health. Not many people want a long lifespan with a low health span. We can keep people alive for a long time on machines, on drugs, IV fluids, artificial feeding, but that's not a quality of life. But I want people to really understand that what happens has a tremendous amount to do with our choices. For instance, a lot of people feel if they have relatives with certain diseases, I'm doomed, nothing I do is going to work, so I'm going to enjoy life. But really, 90% of your DNA is what we call the epigenome, meaning it's not the genes. So just imagine a Christmas tree light. And every now and then you see a light, but you have this long string that you plug into the wall. That's like your DNA. The lights, intermittently, those are the genes. But the long string that makes up the bulk of it, that's what we call the epigenome, or in other words, that is what will turn those genes off and on. So the Christmas tree lights will turn the lights off or on based on our choices. And by those lights, biologically, I mean the lights that promote cancer, the lights that reduce the risk of cancer. Those genes can be turned toward cancer or toward protecting against cancer based on your everyday choices. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
They get a better picture if they're going to the doctor and they feel, so we're not at the disease part yet, but when they're feeling tired, foggy, bloated, all of those, they've got pains in their muscles or their joints, and they go to the doctor and explain all that. They're not getting anywhere. What is the test that they can ask for? When you describe the blood test, and it's not a common one, so what would they ask the doctor? So if they're advocating for themselves and say, I feel all this, I've read about or I've heard about inflammation, I want this test, what is it?
The easiest thing is just to say the test for inflammation. So there's more than one. CRP is called the C-reactive protein, CRP. And then there's another one called the ESR, the erythrocyte sedimentation rate. So instead of getting into trying to remember that, just say, hey, doc, can you check me for inflammation? That's part of the easiest way to go.
To understand the root cause of so many of these diseases that people have, inflammation is most probably the root cause, but our lifestyle choices, you were saying, create the inflammation, which is, so is it really the root cause, or is it our choices that are the root cause? But what are some of the most common diseases that you find connected to inflammation that people are not joining the dots to?
Diabetes is one of the most common diseases. Heart disease. I mentioned that CRP, when that level is high, we know that there's a higher risk of a heart attack. And since a lot of heart attacks are fatal before you get to the doctor, you don't want to play with that. You want to do everything you can on the front end to decrease your inflammation, aside from anything the doctor's doing. Because the doctor may or may not say, okay, I'll order the test. Some say, I don't think you need to worry about that. You take control. If you know what you can do to put yourself in the driver's seat, going in the right direction, you do that. Don't wait on the doctor or anybody else to make the choices that you can make today.